नमस्ते। आज हम एक नए वीडियो के साथ हाजिर हुए हैं। हम बॉम्बे में बाबू वर्गीस से बात करने वाले हैं, जिनका पहले भी हमने एक वीडियो बनाया था, क्रिश्चियन कंट्रीब्यूशन टू लिटरेचर, लैंग्वेज, उसके ऊपर। आज हम उनसे बात करने वाले हैं जर्नलिज्म में। किस तरह से क्रिश्चियंस ने हिंदुस्तान की कई रीजनल लैंग्वेजेस में जर्नलिज्म स्टार्ट किया था। तो चलिए उनसे बात करते हैं। Dr. Babu Verghese, please tell us a little bit about the history of journalism in India.
Journalism as a profession, as a social epoch-making product, is almost a new thing in our country. It has been singularly the contribution of Bible people to the development of this nation. Journalism doesn't begin as such suddenly. It begins with the development of languages,
Okay.
right? Without alphabets, without your language being written down, how do you produce literature and journals? So we need to think of how the languages, the mother tongues of India were developed. So it is language, linguistics, grammar book, dictionary, literature, prose, poetry, then printing, then school, college, university, then journals being printed for mass communication.
So, in this episode, we want to look at journalism and how the origins of journalism happened started in India. So, if you could shed light on that, because we understand your PhD deals in this also.
Doctoral thesis is my studies are in the development of Indian languages, literature, printing, publishing, and journalism, especially who are the builders and movers and makers of this country in these areas. My study ended up saying that it all was done by Bible people, Christian servants, missionaries. Now, when you think of journalism, we need to think of how printing came to India.
Right.
There's no printing in this country at all. In fact, in the world, it was in maybe Chinese had some archaic type of printing, but the first movable type printing was discovered by Gutenberg in 1456. 100 years later, Jesuit missionaries in Goa brought in printing press in Goa. That's the thing.
Right.
So it was the beginning of the great mass communication revolution that took place in India with the Jesuits coming in and impacting the society around them. So in 1556, first time a printing press was set up at St. Paul's College. Then 1700, Sigenbalg, the first Protestant missionary, came in Tharanganbadi in Tranquebar, set up the printing press. Then 1800, the Baptist missionary, William Carey, Joshua Marshman, and William Ward came to Calcutta, to Sarambur, and established the printing press. Then to Bombay later, and all over the West and the East, all over the country between 1800 and 1870. Hundreds and hundreds of printing machines were established and printing textbooks, and also because of the availability of mass communication possibilities, journals were printed. So the first newspaper in India, first vernacular newspaper in India, was by Sarambur missionaries Joshua Marshman, William Ward, and William Carey in 1818. The first three newspapers were Digdarshan, Samachar Darpan, and Friend of India in Bengali, Hindustani, and in English language. So remember, 220 years ago,
Okay.
Bible people begin journalism, begin releasing professional journals and newspapers in the country.
Okay, so the question I would like to ask is, why did they start newspapers, I mean journals? Because these are not Bible tracts actually; they are newspapers. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
So then, what was their motive?
Dissemination of news and information has been historically part of their life in the Western nations. So that influenced them. And moreover, when in India they came, there was a problem of communication of mother tongue, communication of the news. There was a tragedy of the curse of caste system in this country, where a Brahmin, a Kshatriya, Vaishya, and a Shudra cannot listen to the same subject, to the same, cannot communicate the way they wanted. There has been terrible caste differences, discrimination. Therefore, number one, these missionaries wanted to democratize the language and information. For example, I tell you, when these people started the newspaper, it was available to Brahmins and Kshatriyas and Vaishyas and Shudras and Chandalas. They produced it in thousands and said, come on, read it. But before that, they produced they produced grammar books and dictionaries, and they developed alphabets, and they gave new script. So from oral to the written tradition, it came. So in the writing form, there was no literature, there was no newspaper. Number one, it was number one, democratization of the language. That's what newspaper did. Oh, come on, read it. It's available to you. Number two, standardization of the language. For example, you take Gujarati. Gujarati you speak in Surat and Ahmedabad and many other places. You speak it in with different dialectical variations. But when you read the newspaper, in any newspaper in the Gujarati language, there's standardization. See the contribution of Bible people. So they democratized the language. They said anybody can. There is no discrimination. All are equal. All are created in the image of God. All have the right to read, to write, to think, and receive information. So democratized. They butchered the caste system in this country through their newspapers. Number two, they also standardized the language. Today, we think of those things, just take for granted. But how many years they worked? For example, in Gujarat, in the Gujarati language, it was in 1819, missionaries Fivey and Skinner, they produced the grammar book and the dictionary. And in 1822, they brought the first printing press in Surat Mission Press, 1822. And 1824, they produced the first newspaper in Gujarat.
So also tell us about how journalism started in other languages, which you know, I mean, which were started by Christian missionaries. Yeah,
Yes. See,
Christian people.
I looked at the development of journalism and newspapers in 125 languages of India, which is the essence of my thesis. From Assamese onwards, I like to share a little. See, first of all, the Assamese dictionary grammar was developed by Miles Brownson and and uh, uh, and Cutter and Nathan Brown and Robinson. It was they developed in 1867, 1839, like that. Then in 1844, the first newspaper in Assamese was I don't know there. 1844, the first newspaper I said in Bengali was Digdarshan 1818, Samaja Darpan 1818, Friend of India 1820. Right. Then we have in Gujarati, as I said, Jnana Deepak 1856, Satyoday 1862, then Harshanath, Prakashapatra, Jengi Pokar, Mukti Samajat, Harshavartman, and Doodh. 8 newspapers in those years they produced. Hindi, Hindustan, Hindustani Darshan again in 1818. Right. Then you have Urdu language, Jame El Shahan, Nauma in 1622. It's much early. You know, in Kannada, there's something very, very amazing. The first newspaper in Kannada was Mangalore Samajara in 1844 by Basan Mission by, by Father Mongling. Then Bangalore Herald, Mysore Vrittanta Bodhini, Arunodaya, Subodhi Prakash, Karnataka Vaibhav, and Vrittanta Patrika. Look at the names, these are all there. When there was nothing in this country, look at Kannada language was developed, script was given, alphabets were decided, then the printing press was brought, and newspaper came. Konkani, Kasata di Goa, 1821, Kronista Constitutional, then Undar Thechren, I don't know, Salok, 1889. Malayalam, Rajya Samaj. I want to say a few things about it. I'm just coming from celebrating the contribution of Herman Gundert, the Basel Mission, the Brethren Missionary, into the development of Indian languages and the production of the first newspaper in Malayalam. It was a very large gathering of literature people, newsmen, and politicians in Kozhikode, which is the capital, is known as the literary capital of Kerala. We celebrated in a very, very big way. It was Hermann Gundert, a German missionary who knew 12 languages. He developed and produced the first newspaper in Malayalam, 1847. Then second newspaper also, Paschimodaya, Rajya Samajaram, second is Paschimodayam in 1847. It was all secular in her mind. Though ultimately they wanted to tell about Jesus Christ and the Bible, but they developed the society as such. We didn't colonize the mind, we liberated the mind of Indians. We broke the shackles of superstition and upper caste hegemony. The upper caste always told the lower caste, you cannot speak the way we talk, you cannot dress the way we dress, you cannot use the same vocabulary, you cannot use the same dress, you cannot eat the same way, you cannot work the same way. But when newspapers was brought in, when people, ordinary people were, number one, enlightened, number two, they were empowered. So a total transformation of the society, breaking down the barriers of caste, they became more enlightened and empowered. So till from 1847 to 1818, 11 newspapers were produced in Malayalam by Bible people. Then comes Marathi. In Marathi, none of them was produced. There's Mount William Carey, Vance Kennedy, T. James Molesworth, then Stuart Elphinston, Stephenston, S.J. Bork. They were all involved in producing these newspapers and making it available to the mass. Otherwise, there is nothing, mass availability.
Tell us a little bit about the development in fact, making official the Assamese language and Odia language. I believe that Christian missionaries have a hand in this.
Yes. Historically, the Bengali Babus, they were called Babus, they are very powerful people, clerks and officials with the British government, with the Fort William College and all this, like IAS people, ICS people. Very powerful people. They were all in the government services. They are so powerful that they could dictate terms to the British what to do, what not to do. You know, regarding the mother tongues, the Bengalis said two things. In Assamese, they said Assamese is not an independent language. It is a dialectical variation of the Bengali language. Let me first talk about that. Then, in 1867, Miles Bronson comes to Assam, and 1848, Nathan Brown comes to Assam. Both of them brought a printing press also. They worked on the language of Assamese. They produced a grammar book, dictionary, and they started the newspaper. I don't know, they wrote series of articles that claiming and proving that Assamese is an independent Indo-Aryan language. They scientifically, linguistically proved it and challenged the British government to accept the mother tongue Assamese as an independent language, and they should be developed. See, for that, their newspaper was powerfully used. And they were linguists, they linguistically proved it. Number one. The same thing happened in Odia. In Odia, in 1844, A. Sutton came. 1831 also, he was here in 1831, and the Reverend Ravenshaw was there. Same problem, the Bengali Babu said that Oriya is not an independent language, it is a dialectical variation of Bengali. Therefore, they proved linguistically, these two great missionaries, and they also started a newspaper. Amazingly, they started a newspaper, Nana Nanarama. They started Nanarama, then they started Utkal Deviya. All these newspapers, they produced and proved that Oriya is a language who can handle the same way Bengali language also is used. So the Oriya people, the Assamese people, owe their language development to these Bible people, Bible translators.
Also, what kind of campaigns did they run apart from these language campaigns? They also had some other campaigns where they were running for I think
Exactly.
Sati.
Yeah.
You can tell.
They what happened is they also started schools. In the schools, they started teaching these local dialectical variations or these mother tongues in their schools. See, the three language formula promoted by the missionaries. They said mother tongue should be developed, then English, maybe then another for Assam and other places, Bengali also, a regional language. So they introduced these things in the schools. Then they had the what you call it, literary meetings. They used to have a gathering of poets, local dialects. These Bible people, missionaries, were always ready to promote mother tongues. The upper caste in India kept knowledge as a monopoly. What these missionaries did through these newspapers is break that monopoly, make it available. So, number one, they broke these chains and they gave freedom. Freedom to speak, freedom to read, freedom to think, freedom to disseminate. See how these newspapers were used? And they gave, through these newspapers, a global outlook. These newspapers not just were parochial or local, it was a global outlook they gave. They gave news from all over the world. India was opened. They wrote about India in these newspapers, which were sent to abroad, to Britain, USA, and other places. So they opened a window for India, and they opened for the Indians a global window. So information began to pass through, a mass communication began to take place. Number one. Number two, they used tremendously these newspapers to fight against the evil in the society. These newspapers, these missionaries always stood for the good things in the culture of India. They never destroyed the culture of India, but they destroyed the evil in the culture. Number one, social evils like sati, burning of brides, burning of women whose husbands are dead. Sati, we know, you see. It was, in fact, William Carey, Joshua Marshman, William Ward used their newspapers amazingly against. They kept on giving the report about Sati every week what was happening. They also organized seminars at Fort William College, and they reported on that. That's the thing. See, then infanticide, they fought against that. Then how do we used to treat the leprosy patients? In India, earlier, if you become a leprosy patient, either you are buried alive or you are burned alive. So missionaries started to fight against it, and they, like Jesus Christ, they promoted leprosariums, and they began to take care of the leprosy patients, and the reports of all these things began to appear in these newspapers. Then taking care of the old people, the deaf, the dumb, all those things. Then infanticide was always there. They fought against all those things. All kinds of social evils, they fought against it.
Child
Tremendous
marriage?
social transformation took place because of that.
Child marriage? Did they write against
Yes,
that?
child marriage, yes, so much. They fought against it.
Right. So, which other languages got developed? We have spoken about Gujarati, Bengali,
Yeah,
Assamese, Odia,
that's true.
Marathi,
Yes, Punjabi.
and
Yeah.
Malayalam.
Malayalam. See, Punjabi, uh, missionary Newton came in 1838 and he produced a grammar and dictionary. Then Noor al Afsan in 1872 was produced by him, the first newspaper in Punjabi, right? Then Sanskrit also, they all worked. Very often we think Sanskrit is a, the mother of all languages discovered by Indians. Absolutely not so. We have 7,150 languages now recorded in India, in the world. All these languages come under 12 linguistic families. As we read in the book of Genesis in the Bible, Genesis chapter 10 and 11. So all languages of the world came out of one language, which we don't know which one, or came out of that. Today, all 7,150 languages, including 1,652 languages of India, came out of Babel. That's the thing. So one of the families is known as Indo-Aryan or Indo-Iranian or Indo-European. That has around 1,200 languages, and Sanskrit or Proto-Sanskrit is one of it. That's all. So Sanskrit is not developed by Indians, but it came from Babel as of other languages. Again, I want to talk about Sanskrit. It was the dead language. What was the state of affairs in Sanskrit? The Brahmin said it's a Deva Bhasha. Use others. Lower caste cannot read Sanskrit. If you read it, your tongue will be plucked out. If you listen to it, mortal lead should be put in. That was the situation. In that situation, a dead language. Missionaries came. I can name them after one after the other. Hundreds and hundreds of missionaries came, and they studied Sanskrit and they developed and they made alive that dead Sanskrit.
After Sanskrit, do you want to tell us something more about Sanskrit, or we move on to other languages?
See, I want to say something about Sanskrit. Sanskrit is now like in Tübingen University in Germany, Hermann Gundar chair is there, Bible translator and missionary. His chair is there, where Sanskrit and Malayalam are important subjects. Sanskrit chair is established by Christian missionaries in Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, Bloomington, and most of the major universities of India, universities overseas. See, who developed Sanskrit, right? It was Christian missionaries, and they also produced newspaper in those languages. Now let's talk about Tamil. Tamil is a Dravidian language. It was Hermann Gundert and others who said Tamil is not part of the Indo-Aryan language. This Proto-Dravidian, Tamil, Malayalam, Telugu, Kannada, and 35 other languages of India come under Dravidian family. So it has nothing to do with the Indo-Aryan languages. So these Dravidian languages are a different class in itself. And Sigenbald, Besky, Reines, Robert Anderson, in 1716 onwards, they worked in Tamil language. And the first Tamil Patrika was produced in 1831. And then Dina Vartamani in 1856, the first newspaper in Tamil language. Then talk about Telugu. See, Telugu in 1746, Benjamin Schultz produced a grammar book. Then Frederick Fritz worked, J.N. Morris worked, Robert Caldwell produced a series of books saying the difference, the difference of Dravidian languages from the Indo-Aryan language. Robert Caldwell has done a comparative study of Indian languages. He established the the difference between the Dravidian and the Indo-Aryan. Now, a lot of Telugu newspapers were produced by these missionaries for the first time. Then you have a lot of tribal languages. In the tribal languages in Northeast, they not only produced grammar books and dictionaries and textbooks and started schools and colleges, they also started printing press and newspapers. What does these newspapers do? They not only disseminated news, they made the society feel the oneness together, the harmony of the nation, the harmony of the society, peace and happiness of the society, doing good to one another. So, character development was one of the major aims of these newspapers, journals produced by Bible people. They never promoted hatred, but they promoted harmony, loving, caring, and they also exposed the evil in this society. They called upon the people, there's a need to revolutionize India for good things. Do you know the story in 19, 1985? B.S. Keshavan, the director of publishing and printing in India, he wrote a 3-volume book on history of Indian publishing and printing. You know, he subtitled his great work as a story of cultural reawakening. This is what journals did. These were printing that which brought by Christian missions, a cultural reawakening. Till then, it was palm leaves. From palm leaves to the printed page, it was a transition, it's a transformation, an intellectual transformation of the nation.
There were also journals in English language.
Yes.
Were they aimed for the white public here, or was it aimed
See,
for
now,
everyone?
for this, we need to do one thing. You see, the English language was not brought to India by the British missionaries, by the British Empire.
Okay.
The British Empire was not interested to educate India. They wanted to loot this country and keep the people. They were interested only in Persian and Arabic and maybe to an extent Sanskrit. They were not interested at all in English language or in the mother tongues of India. See, they were Occidentals, Orientalists, and missionaries. Some groups said Sanskrit should be developed, the others said Persian and Arabic should be said, but it was William Carey and others who insisted a 3-language formula. When I am talking about 1800s, and it was missionaries who started the English education in India, not the British. Till 1813, till the charter of the British East India Company was renewed, with the pressure from William Wilberforce and others in the British Parliament, for the first time they allotted some money for the education of Indians.
तो आपने देखा कि किस तरह से क्रिश्चियंस ने जर्नलिज्म कई लैंग्वेजेस में स्टार्ट किया, गुजराती, मराठी, बंगाली, उड़िया, असमीज, पंजाबी, कन्नड़ा, बहुत सारी लैंग्वेजेस में उनने जर्नलिज्म स्टार्ट किया और न्यूज़पेपर्स और जर्नल्स बाहर निकाले और उनने कई सोशल इवल्स को टैकल किया। सती के ऊपर उनने काफ़ी लिखा, चाइल्ड मैरेजेस पे काफ़ी लिखा, इन्फेंटिसाइड जो बच्चे की हत्या जब पैदा होते साथ ही कर देते, उसके ऊपर उनने बात करी। ऑल्सो लैंग्वेज को ऑफिशियल लैंग्वेजेस उनने असमीज और उड़िया लैंग्वेजेस को एक बंगाली के डायलेक्ट नहीं पर जो लैंग्वेज हैं उनके ऊपर उनने बहुत काम किया और कई जो सोशल इश्यूज पे उनने लगातार संघर्ष अपने जर्नल से न्यूज़ से करते आए। ऑल्सो जैसे कि बाबू वर्गीस कह रहे थे वर्ल्ड में क्या हो रहा है उसके बारे में लोगों को, हिंदुस्तान के लोगों को बताया कि सिर्फ वो अपने ही यहाँ पे देश के बारे में नहीं पर दुनिया के बारे में जाने कि क्या हो रहा है। आपका क्या मानना है? आप डेफिनेटली हमें कमेंट करके बताइएगा, हम आपके कमेंट्स पढ़ते भी हैं, जवाब भी देते हैं और डेफिनेटली आप हमारे वीडियोस को लाइक कीजिए, सब्सक्राइब ज़रूर कीजिएगा और शेयर भी कीजिए।